Here we are at my engine bay, and I hate to report this, but I have a mechanical problem that requires changing a part. Now, the problem that I'm having is the brake booster. It seems to have lost its ability to give me power brakes. So let me start the car and show you how I know it's the booster. I thought that this was worthy to film because the way I figured it out was kind of different. So let me show you. Okay, so the car is on now, and here are my air fuel ratios, and I'll tell you why I'm looking at those in a sec. But let's see if we can listen to the sound that the brakes make when you press on it. So let's put you close enough to the booster area and have a listen. Let me close the door. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, I let go of the brakes. There's a hissing noise. Here we go again. I let go of the brakes. So it's a constant hissing noise. So that leads me to believe that that's the brake booster. Now, here are the air fuel ratio readings, and look at what happens when I hit the brakes. Now, this is the driver's side, this is the passenger side engine banks, okay? Look at that. It goes crazy lean, and mostly on the passenger side. Let me let go of the brakes, and you'll see that it'll drop right back down. Now it's stabilized. Now I'm going to hit the brakes again. It just goes all the way to almost fully lean. Let go of the brakes. There we go, stabilized. So let me shut off the car. Okay, let me show you why that is important. So the hissing noise can pretty much confirm that my brake booster is failing. But as you saw, the wideband oxygen sensor for the passenger side was detecting a lean condition every time I applied the brakes. So that is important because my power brake booster gets its vacuum from the passenger side of the engine. So let me show you the connection. So there's a connection for the power brake booster, and it gets connected directly to the intake manifold. And the runner that leads from that connection goes straight to the passenger side of the engine. So the wideband oxygen sensor is seeing that additional airflow from the leak. Now, the way the carburetor works, air flows through the carburetor, and the carburetor's job is to see that airflow and compensate for it by adding a certain amount of fuel. So anything going through the carburetor as far as airflow goes is metered and gets compensated. But because I have a vacuum leak, and that vacuum leak is connected directly to the intake manifold, and that connection is under the carburetor cannot see that additional airflow. And that additional airflow is considered unmetered air because the carburetor cannot see it, therefore does not compensate by adding more fuel for that additional airflow. Well, that additional airflow still goes through the engine and goes past the oxygen sensor, the wideband that's connected to the passenger side of the engine, and it sees that and reports back to me that there's a lean condition. So what does all that mean? All that means is I have a very big leak, and that leak is coming from the power brake booster. So I need to take that out of there and get a new one. Okay, so that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I managed to get the booster out without unhooking any of the brake lines I didn't even have to empty out the reservoir, the master cylinder reservoir. It was pretty easy. Just 4 bolts for the back, 2 bolts for the master cylinder, and that bad boy just slipped right out. I had just enough space. Of course, I had to move this. You can see it's pretty much free floating, but I moved it and it was easy to just pull out. And so here it is in the bench. So this is the unit right here, and where it seems to be leaking from is from back here. Trying to do this one-handed, from in there. So probably the seal that's on the inside of here gave out. Well, my brake booster replacement finally came in. As you can see, I went with a chrome unit. Now, when I originally bought my entire braking system, this is the booster that came with my system. And so, because it was a regular brake booster, not a chrome unit, I decided to paint it silver. But now that it failed, I have the chance to replace it with what I really wanted, which was a chrome unit. I didn't get a chrome unit before because I was already paying a lot for the entire brake system, complete. So I didn't want to add to the cost. But now that I have to replace it, I get the pleasure of spending a lot less and getting what I really wanted. So it worked out in the end. So the new brake booster, of course, doesn't come with any of the hardware that connects to the brake pedal. So I will be removing it from here and passing it over. So one good thing is it did come with a check valve, so I won't have to worry about replacing the check valve. So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting this installed in my Nova. All done. Installed the booster and life is good again. Booster looks great in there. I'm so glad that I was able to get the chrome unit. I'm almost glad that the original booster failed on me so that I was able to get the chrome unit. It actually goes a little bit better with the engine scheme. As I stated earlier, I really wanted chrome all along, and now I have my chrome and I'm very happy. It looks great. I took the car out for a spin and the brakes are now with power brakes. Now it's easy to stop the car again. When the booster failed, to stop this car, I had to use both my legs. This car is pretty heavy with the big block 454. So in addition to not having power brakes, it was definitely a task to get the car to stop. So for me, power brakes is very important. It's either that or work out my legs and get some big hefty quads so that I can stop the car and not worry about power brakes. But that's not going to happen, so power brakes is a necessity. So there it is, and I think it looks great now, the way it should have looked all along. So hope you enjoyed tagging along with me. I thought it was pretty cool to film everything that I filmed as far as diagnosing this problem and following through and getting it all fixed. I mean, it's a simple, you know, brake booster remove and replace video, but because I was able to diagnose it with the wideband, I thought that you guys might find it interesting. So anyway, either way, hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching.